The Galactic Armada surrounded Earth. Then 300 human warships jumped in. Behind them, Admiral Zexthul of the Hegemony Coalition adjusted his tactical display with a satisfied click of his mandibles. Before him stretched the blue marble that had caused so much trouble. Earth, the homeworld of the upstart species that dared challenge the galactic order. His armada of 800 vessels formed a perfect sphere around the planet. Their weapons trained on every major population center below. All ships report ready status, Admiral, his tactical officer announced. The humans' primitive orbital defenses have been neutralized. Their fleet appears to be scattered across distant sectors. Zexthul's compound eyes gleamed with anticipation. For 3 cycles, these humans had been a persistent thorn in the Coalition's side. They refused to submit to proper galactic authority, insisted on maintaining their own government, and worst of all, they kept winning battles they had no business surviving. Their unconventional tactics and reckless aggression had cost the Coalition dozens of worlds and hundreds of ships. But now, finally, he had them cornered. Intelligence reports confirmed that the bulk of the human fleet was engaged in operations light years away. Earth stood defenseless, save for a handful of aging orbital platforms that his advanced scouts had already crippled. "Open a channel to the planet," Zexthul commanded. "It's time to end this farce." The communication array crackled to life, and soon the face of Fleet Admiral Sarah Chen appeared on his screen. Even surrounded and outgunned 800 to 1, the human leader showed no trace of fear. Her dark eyes held a peculiar glint that made Zexthul's scales itch with unease. "Admiral Chen," he began in his most magnanimous tone, "I trust you can see the futility of your position. 800 of the Coalition's finest warships surround your world. Your fleet is scattered, your defenses are down. I offer you terms: immediate and unconditional surrender, and your species will be granted the privilege of serving the Coalition as laborers and auxiliary forces." Admiral Chen's lips curved into what Zexthul had learned was called a smile, a bizarre human expression that seemed to have multiple meanings, none of them good when directed at enemies. "That's a generous offer, Admiral," she replied with unsettling calm. "But I'm afraid I'll have to decline. You see, you've made one critical error in your intelligence assessment." Zexthul's mandibles clicked in annoyance. "And what might that be?" "You assumed our fleet was scattered." Chen's smile widened. "In truth, Admiral, we've been expecting you." Before Zexthul could respond, his sensor officer's voice cut through the bridge like a plasma bolt. "Admiral, energy signatures detected. Multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace." The tactical display erupted in new contacts. Zexthul watched in growing horror as ship after ship materialized from the void, not in front of his armada, but behind it. 300 vessels, their hulls bearing the distinctive angular design of human warships, emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation. "Impossible," Zexthul breathed. "Our intelligence confirmed their locations across 12 different sectors." "Your intelligence was fed exactly what we wanted it to see," Chen said, her voice carrying across the comm channel with deadly satisfaction. "Did you really think we'd leave our homeworld undefended? Those scattered fleets, holographic projections, and automated probe ships broadcasting false signatures. Our real fleet has been waiting in the Oort cloud for 3 weeks, cloaked and ready." The human ships moved with predatory grace, their weapon systems coming online in synchronized waves. Zexthul realized with dawning terror that his formation, perfect for bombarding a planet, left his ships vulnerable to attack from behind. His vessels were clustered too tightly, their rear shields minimized to maximize forward firepower. "All ships, emergency maneuvers," he barked, repositioning to... His orders were cut short as the first wave of human missiles streaked across space. But these weren't ordinary projectiles. Each warhead split into dozens of smaller sub-munitions that moved with impossible agility, weaving through point defense fire like living things. The first Coalition ship to die was the Dreadnought, inexorable Dominion. Its massive bulk erupted in a chain of explosions as the adaptive warheads found every weakness in its armor. Within seconds, the pride of the Hegemony fleet was nothing but expanding debris. "How?" Zexthul demanded, watching his tactical display fill with casualty reports. "Those weapons, they're adapting to our defenses in real time." Chen's image, on his screen, tilted her head slightly. You never bothered to study our species properly, did you? Humans are adaptation specialists. Our weapons learn from every shot fired, every defense encountered. The more you fight them, the better they get at killing you. The battle became a massacre. The human fleet moved like a single organism, their ships coordinating with a precision that spoke of decades of practice fighting overwhelming odds. They used the coalition's own formation against them, herding the larger ships into kill zones where concentrated fire could overwhelm even the heaviest armor. Zex Thul watched helplessly as ship after ship fell silent. The humans weren't just destroying his fleet, they were dissecting it, learning from each encounter and sharing that knowledge instantaneously across their entire formation. "Admiral," his communications officer called out, his voice shaking. "We're receiving surrender requests from 47 ships." "Denied," Zex Thul snarled. "The coalition does not surrender to primitives." "Then you'll die like the last 50 species that tried to conquer Earth," Chen said matter-of-factly. "Your choice, Admiral." As if to emphasize her point, another wave of adaptive missiles found their mark. The carrier stellar supremacy broke apart under sustained fire, its fighter bays erupting like firecrackers. Zex Thul stared at his dying fleet and felt something he'd never experienced before. The cold touch of inevitable defeat. These humans, these supposed primitives, had turned his perfectly planned invasion into a death trap. They'd used his own arrogance against him, fed his intelligence false information, and struck at precisely the moment when his forces were most vulnerable. "You want to know the real difference between us and every other species you've conquered?" Chen asked, as if reading his thoughts. "Every other species you faced was already civilized when you found them. They'd forgotten how to fight, how to survive, how to adapt. But humans? We spent 200,000 years clawing our way up from nothing. We survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and disasters that would have ended most species. We learned to adapt or die, and that lesson is written into our very DNA." The tactical display showed only scattered red dots now, the remnants of Zex Thul's once mighty armada. Around them, the human ships moved in tightening circles, like predators closing in for the kill. "Last chance, Admiral," Chen said quietly. "Surrender now, and you can live to carry a message back to your coalition. Tell them that Earth is not some helpless world to be conquered. We are the species that turned warfare into evolution. We are the ones who make our enemies stronger by fighting them and then surpass that strength ourselves." Zex Thul looked at his remaining ships, fewer than 100 now, and at the calm, confident face of the human admiral. He thought of the coalition's vast empire, of the hundreds of species that bowed before their might, and realized that none of them had ever faced anything like humanity. With a bitter click of his mandibles, he reached for the surrender controls. The galaxy would learn a new lesson today. Never corner a human. They didn't just fight back, they evolved,